Chapter 31. Do you need me to help you remember? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios' Bao Junyan woke up at the same time as she did. When Mu Huan sat up and looked at him, he was coincidentally turning to look at her. There was a spark between them when their eyes locked. Every scene and every part of last night continuously flooded back into Mu Huan's mind. She was momentarily dumbstruck, unsure of what to do. What the F***ck alcohol is truly poison to the organs. It is lethal. Lethal. What do I do? What do I do? After thinking about it for a while and not coming up with an answer, she decided to just lie back down on the bed with a plop. She closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep, as if what she did earlier was just her sleepwalking. Bao Junyan. Mu Huan turned around, hoping to go back to sleep and to not wake up until Bao Junyan had left the room. However, her stomach couldn't take it any longer, it began to growl in hunger. She hated it. She hated her disappointing stomach so much. In the silent room, the rumbles of her stomach were louder than ever. If you're hungry, get up and eat. Bao Junyan let out a laugh. Mu Huan pretended she couldn't hear him and that she didn't exist. However, she was instantly picked up by Bao Junyan. Do you need me to help you put on your clothes? Mu Huan. She knew that there was no way she could escape. Hubby. Last night, what happened? I don't remember. I think I was blackout drunk. Bao Junyan thought that his little wife was terrible at lying. She was obviously revealing what she had wanted to hide. Do you need me to help you remember? Mu Huan. Men. Why would you make things difficult for your obedient and beloved wife? Wake up and have breakfast. Bao Junyan released her and got out of bed. Mu Huan raised her head in astonishment. Was he letting her off just like that? Why was he suddenly being so nice? Bao Junyan stared at her stunned face before caressing her head. Get up soon. With that, he left for the bathroom. Mu Huan looked at his back in shock. Last night, When she thought about what she said last night, she lay back down and hid under the blankets. She should just suffocate herself to death. At the entrance of the bathroom, Bao Junyan turned around at the sound, only to see her hiding. Next time, you are not allowed to drink so much. Since it was her first time making such a mistake, he would let her off this time. Hearing this, Mu Huan instantly replied, I swear. I promise. I won't do this again anymore. Next time, she would never drink so much again even if she was beaten to death. In the dining room. Mu Huan could see the love in Butler Li's eyes when he looked at her. She couldn't really handle it. When she thought about what she had done last night when she was drunk, she couldn't help but want to cover her face and find a place to hide. Aren't you hungry? Bao Junyan asked as he saw how she wasn't eating. Hungry. Hungry. Mu Huan hurriedly lowered her head and ate. Bao Junyan had an important meeting this morning. Therefore, he left for the company without waiting for Mu Huan to finish breakfast. When Mu Huan was done, she realized that something seemed off. She thought for a while before realizing what was odd. Butler Li, why didn't I see my little sister coming down for breakfast? Mu Kurson wanted to butter up to Bao Junyan so much and was such a shameless figure. She wouldn't have given a sh*t and missed this chance of eating with Bao Junyan after what Mu Huan had drunkenly said last night. Young master sent her back. Sent her back. When was this? Mu Huan stood up in shock. Last night, when you were sleeping on young master's shoulder, young master had asked us to send her back, Butler Li replied in a detailed manner. Mu Huan. D****. D****. Next time, she would chop her hand off if she was to ever drink again. Chapter 32. Conflict. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Madam, please don't worry. Young master has already told your family that it was he who sent her back. The hidden meaning behind Butler Lee's words was that she didn't have to worry as Bao Junyan was here to support her. Mu Huan caught it, but her temple began to throb in pain. In the afternoon, Mu Huan received a call from the hospital, asking her to rush down. Mu Huan immediately dashed to the hospital. The Mu family operated hospitals, and the best one in Yuncheng belonged to the Mu family. Mu Huan's granny was currently receiving treatment from this hospital. When she had reached the hospital and saw her stepmother, Bai Shuaxian, and Mu Kersen in her granny's hospital ward, her eyes darkened. She knew that they were here to settle scores with her over Mu Kersen being chased out. Mu Kersen had her mother with her. Therefore, she was even more rampant. Mu Huan, you be *tch. Let's see if I won't have you dead by today. With that, she raised her hand and tried to slap Mu Huan with it. Mu Huan caught her wrist with a strong grip, causing Mu Kersen to scream in pain. Mom! Mom, save me! However, Bai Shuaxian did not berate Mu Huan and glared at Mu Kersen instead. Before Mu Huan arrived, she had already talked things out with her, yet she was still so impulsive at the sight of Mu Huan. If she didn't let her suffer a little pain, she wouldn't learn how to control herself. Mom! Mu Kersen realized that she had been impulsive once again. Seeing that she had figured out her mistake, Bai Shuaxian stared at Mu Huan. Xiao Huan, don't you want to check on Granny first? Mu Huan released Mu Kersen and looked at the hospital bed. It had a glass pane separating her from it. She saw her granny with tubes all over her body and a doctor standing by her side. Right at this moment, Bai Shuaxian gave a look to the doctor, who instantly removed one of the tubes from her granny's body. Her granny, who was lying peacefully on the bed, suddenly began to let out hurried breaths. The machines monitoring her began to let out emergency noises. Granny! Mu Huan was desperate to rush inside, but the door was locked. No matter how much she banged on the door, it didn't budge one bit. Her eyes began to turn red as she turned around hurriedly, looking like a demon that just walked out of hell. Bai Shuaxian, I will make sure to bury all of you with my granny if anything were to happen to her. I will kill all of you. I will really kill all of you. She would really kill them. She would bring them all to hell. I know you would, and I know you are capable of making that happen. You could even kill me right now. But do you really want us to bury you and your granny? Are we really that worth it? Bai Shuaxian raised her eyebrows. Right now, they were trying to see who could be more merciless. If Mu Huan was heartless enough, she would watch her granny die in front of her before taking her revenge on them. But she wasn't. She would never want to see her granny pass away like that. Mu Huan glared at Bai Shuaxian. She suddenly had 1,000 impulses inside of her. She wanted to dash forward and beat this malicious woman to death. However, she eventually controlled herself. It was like Bai Shuaxian said, she couldn't bear to see her granny die like that no matter what. Especially since her granny had just undergone surgery. The experts from America said that the probability of her granny recovering was 90%. Bai Shuaxian smiled at her coldly, hinting to the doctor to attach the tube back in. Mu Huan's granny's breathing quickly stabilized as she lay quietly on the bed. It seemed as if she was asleep and was about to wake up any time soon. Do you want that to happen again? Bai Shuaxian looked at Mu Huan. Mu Huan clenched her fists tightly. Chapter 33. Devastating costs. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, your granny is now in her recovery stages. If she were to be deprived of oxygen once more, it would cause irreversible damage to her brain. She might never be able to regain her consciousness in the future. Bai Xuexian was a doctor and currently the director of this hospital. So, will you beg for it to not happen again? Mu Huan clenched her fists even tighter than before, her veins almost protruding out of her skin. A long moment later. Please, please do not do it again. I beg you. Do you beg people like that? How did I teach you to beg in the past? Have you forgotten? Bai Xuexian elegantly raised her leg as she looked at Mu Huan coldly. A girl who didn't have anything dared to defy her and touch her daughter just because she finally had a little power. She was truly gutsy. Mu Huan clenched her fists so tightly that her entire body began to tremble slightly. I'm usually a good mother. If you've forgotten, I'll teach you once more. With just one glance from Bai Xuexian, the bodyguards dressed in black and standing by the side kicked Mu Huan's leg harshly, causing her to fall on her knees in front of Bai Xuexian. Bai Xuexian looked at Mu Huan as she smiled in a taunting manner. So what if you're good at fighting? Would she dare to move and attack her? Mu Huan tightened her fists. Due to the extreme pressure, they almost turned greenish-purple. Mom! Mu Kersin looked at Bai Xuexian, eager to personally teach Mu Huan a lesson. Go ahead. This is the right time. Next time, don't ever let me see you making such an impulsive mistake again. Bai Xuexian said to Mu Kersin in disappointment. The moment she received Bai Xuexian's approval, Mu Kersin instantly walked up to the front. She was about to slap Mu Huan across the face, but she suddenly remembered something. Bai Xuexian told her not to hit Mu Huan's face as there shouldn't be any visible injuries. Therefore, she gave Mu Huan a harsh kick. B*TCH. Come on, be aggressive. Be aggressive again. You are nothing at all. A useless piece of trash. How dare you mock me and throw vegetables at me? I'm asking you to be aggressive. Come on, touch me if you dare. What did you say last time? That you would pour hot oil on me and leave me disfigured. I should be saying these words to you. B*TCH, if it wasn't for the fact that you are still a little useful right now, I would pour hot oil all over you. Mu Kersin was ready to kick her a few more times. That's enough, Bai Xuexian said to stop her. Mu Huan was still Mrs. Bao right now. If there were any injuries on her and they were discovered by Bao Junyan, the gains would not make up for the losses. Mu Kersin retreated reluctantly. Bai Xuexian walked forward and stared at Mu Huan. Now, have you realized how stupid you've acted? All these years, she thought that Mu Huan was useless. Therefore, she let her roam outside freely. She never expected that her wings would harden after growing up, to the point that she dared to lay a hand on her daughter. Mu Huan didn't move and didn't say anything either. It was just like how she was in the past when she was being humiliated, beaten, and scolded. She wouldn't move an inch. Bai Xuexian smiled when she saw her acting this way. No matter how old she got and how much she tried to transform herself 72 times like the Monkey King, Mu Huan would never be able to escape her fingertips. Handling her was as easy as a flip of her hand. She didn't know that Mu Huan was no longer the young and powerless girl that she once was. She was going to pay the devastating costs of what she had done today. I don't care what you do, but you have to give up your position and let Kersin marry Bao Junyan. If not, I wouldn't mind doing these things a few more times. A lowly person like her didn't deserve to have someone like Bao Junyan. Chapter 34. Reasons for my disliking of you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. When her mother.in.law pushed open the door to see her granddaughter looking all disheveled and kneeling on the ground, she frowned and asked sternly, Xuexian, what are you doing? Why are you here, Mom? The arrogant queen-like woman immediately became a meek daughter.in.law before the elderly woman. Her mother.in.law gave her face, so she was let off lightly with just a glare. Trailing behind the former was Mu Dongsheng, who could not help but get angry when he saw his daughter's disheveled state. Bai Shuaxian, what's wrong with you? How could you treat Xiao Huan like this? She was his biological daughter, after all. Don't get all riled up, hubby. It's all for her own good. Children are just like trees, and only with pruning will they grow into trees of great height, she gently cooed. Still, that's not how you should educate her. Don't ever let me see you bullying Xiao Huan again. From how she took his daughter in hand, it was obvious that she had no regard for him at all. He shot his wife a fierce glare before helping his daughter up. Bai Shuaxian scoffed as she watched him from behind, not at all taking his threat seriously. That useless husband of hers would not be able to do anything to her since she had the tacit consent of his mother. After helping Mu Huan up, he turned to the bodyguards beside them and shouted, "What are you all doing there? Hurry and go prepare a set of clean clothes for your young missy." No one moved, though. It was only after his mother gave a signal that someone went out to prepare the clothes. Despite being his mother's only son, he had no authority nor power in the family at all. Hence, what he hated the most was having others look down on him. "Dad, why are you always so protective of her? She was the one who bullied me first." Mu Kurson shot back at her father in indignation. She could not stand seeing him treating her sister well. "Bullied you? You must have sought trouble with her first." He knew the characters of his daughters. The former had more to say about that but was stopped by her mother. "Mom, I still have something on." The latter turned to the matriarch. "Go." The elder Mrs. Mu waved them away. After the bodyguard came back with the clean clothes, she got her granddaughter to go change into them first before having a talk with her. Mu Huan silently received the clothes and stepped into the bathroom. This hospital belonged to the Muse. They previously arranged for her granny to stay in a VIP ward, which came with a complete set of facilities, in order to get her obediently married to Bao Junyan. As soon as she entered the bathroom, the old woman turned to her son. "Do you know what you should be saying later?" The latter drooped his head in response. "Yes." Satisfied with that answer, she sat silently on the sofa and got some shut-eye while she waited for her granddaughter to come out. It was only when Mu Huan did that she opened her eyes again. "Do you want to continue living such a life?" The indifferent young woman only quietly stood rooted to the spot, which made the former, who had seen and experienced all kinds of storms, unable to tell what was actually on her mind. "Come, sit here," said her grandma, who stood up and pulled her over to the sofa. She remained silent as she let the old lady did what she wanted to her. "Xiao Huan, do you know why, despite you and Kurson both being my granddaughters, I dislike only you?" That question succeeded in capturing her attention. She looked up at her with emotion-filled eyes. She was curious to know the answer to that. Why did her grandma prefer her half-sister when the former treated her pretty well when she was young? Had she done something wrong? "It's because I don't like your granny, no, I hate her. That's why I don't like you and your mother as well," the elder Mrs. Mu frankly confessed. Why? Having no clue what caused her grandma's sudden dislike of her, she had reckoned that it was because of her traditional mindset of valuing males. Since Bai Shuaxian gave birth to a boy, she, therefore, preferred Mu Kurson and ignored the abuse she received in the hands of her stepmother. Alas, never in her wildest imagination did she expect the answer to be her granny. Chapter 35. Cherish this opportunity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, your grandfather and I were childhood friends whose families were close friends with each other. Everyone thought us to be a couple and assumed that we would eventually get married. However, because he ended up falling for your granny, I became an abandoned and disgraced woman in the eyes of others. Being the sole daughter and heir of her family, the elder Mrs. Mu grew up to be a very competitive person with high self-esteem. The indignation over having her crush falling for a woman who was not her match in all aspects got her hating her love rival's guts. Being a shrewd woman, however, she silently endured through it, went on to be friends with her crush, and maintained a good relationship between both families. She later got her only son to marry their sole daughter, rob them of their assets, and destroy the lifetime happiness of their precious daughter. Even so, it did not appease her. She wanted the woman to lead an even more miserable life. Hence, she could not bear seeing her granddaughter being so concerned about her granny. Of course, despite her not spilling everything out, Mu Huan somehow managed to guess it. This made her ascertain even more that her grandma, being the horrifying and scheming person that she was, had her motives for saying all these things to her. It was just as expected. What I'm trying to tell you is that I didn't hate you without any reason. Despite my reluctance to do so, I can't control my emotions. I've never met anyone else who had brought such great shame to me other than your granny. There was some truth to the old lady's words, though. She had once tried to treat this granddaughter a little better since they were blood-related, after all. However, you're ultimately still my granddaughter, though. If possible, I'd like for you to lead a better life, too. Please cut to the chase, Grandma, she interrupted, not at all wanting to hear the former persuading her through their blood relations. I know you're working hard to save enough money to move to another city with your granny. To control this granddaughter of hers, she, of course, needed to know all about her. I suppose you'll bring her to the imperial capital. Mu Huan kept mum. You chose pretty well. Not only is it your granny's hometown, but it's also the city with the best medical facilities. The elderly woman paused there for a little. Since you want to let your granny lead a better life, you'd surely not compromise on the medical facilities and stay in a rental home lest she finds herself a burden and does foolish things. For her health, you'd want to stay somewhere closer to the hospital. Alas, house prices there are sky-high, even the simplest suite would require tens of millions of yuan, what more in a neighborhood close to the hospital. No matter how capable you are, you're only still a student, however. How long will it take you to earn that sum of money? Plus, lots of money is needed for her medical expenses. Your monthly expenses are only likely to increase, never decreasing. In this case, how hard must you work to save up enough money? What she said were just cruel facts that Mu Huan had to face. And that's only in the case that I don't seek trouble with you. Should I not let you off, do you think you'll remain fine by just leaving this place with your granny? Stop indulging in your fantasies, child. Envy. If I truly don't want both of you leading good lives, it's useless no matter where you run off to. She clenched her fists tightly in her laps. Reaching out, her grandma held her fists and lightly caressed them. I'm giving you an opportunity now, child, so that you don't have to slog so hard to give your granny a good life. This is also on account of our blood relations, you have to cherish this opportunity. Chapter 36. Give you what you want the most. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, an opportunity. Mu Huan cocked a brow at that. Now they were talking. 20 million. If you can help drug Bao Junyan so that he'd spend a night with Kursin, then divorce him after that, I'll give you 20 million yuan for you to leave with your granny. From then on, you'll have nothing to do with the muse again. I know that's what you want the most. That was true, but she did not need her charity for that. Unable to outright refuse her grandma, she posed a question at her, instead. Why do you think that he'll definitely marry her after sleeping with her? The old woman was not stupid enough to assume that she could force the man into marrying her youngest granddaughter. Since she had so surely offered her such favorable conditions, she must have a surefire reason for him to do so. That's none of your concern. How is it not? If you fail, then I, who's in charge of drugging him, will surely get into hot soup. I cherish my life even more so than you do yours. How will I dare to scheme against Bao Junyan if I don't have 100% success rate? Being distrustful of her, the old woman naturally would not tell her what she had in hand. Her eyes drooped at that. It looks like Grandma truly has a trump card in hand. What can it be, though? No matter how hard she cracked her head over it, she just could not imagine what her grandmother could possibly have in hand such that she would so boldly scheme against her husband. One should know that the status disparity between the Mews and the Bows were as great as heaven and earth. The man could easily crush them with just a finger. What did she have that could force the powerful man into marrying her sister? I understand you're afraid that I'll renege on my promise. Why don't we do this? As long as you agree to my proposal, I'll give you half the amount beforehand while the balance will be placed with your father. He'll surely give it to you once the matter is settled. Mu Dongsheng hastily nodded his head right away. Xiao Huan, rest assured, I'll hand you that sum of money. You just need to listen and give your grandmother your promise. She looked at her father. I won't harm you. Once you promise this to her, you can lead the life you want with that money afterward. Suddenly recalling something, he continued, you also don't have to worry about your studies. Your grandma has found you a place at the Imperial Capital University. By then, all you'll need to do is to transfer to your preferred faculty. She then silently let her eyes droop. Xiao Huan, you have a full 24 hours to think about it. I want your answer tomorrow, no later than that. With that, her grandmother stood up and left after giving her father an signal. With his mother's departure, Mu Dongxing felt more relaxed. Xiao Huan, quickly agree to it, and then take the money and leave. Otherwise, there's no telling how Bai Shuexian is going to torment your granny. Seeing how his daughter, who was capable of fighting, let herself get beaten up, he knew that that woman must have threatened her with her granny. Dad, do you know why Grandma is so sure that Bao Junyan will marry Kursin? How would I know that? The man truly knew nothing about it. He was only responsible for acting according to his mother's orders. She was at loss for words as she regarded her father. There's no need for any hesitation. Just give Grandma your promise. Weren't you tearfully begging me not to let you marry Bao Junyan back then? Now that you have a chance to leave him, with a huge sum of money on top of that, why are you still hesitating? This is all for your own good. How much will Grandma give you in return for my promise? For my own good. Ha ha. Chapter 37. The Only Way Out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, 5 million. Xiao Huan, as long you agree to it, I can give you a 1 million cut from it. With 20.1 million yuan in total, you'll still have plenty left after buying a house. You'll be able to lead your life however you want. The man showed no signs of embarrassment at having been seen through by his daughter. As Mu Huan looked at him, she suddenly felt a helpless urge to cry. I'm your daughter, Dad. No matter how hard I pleaded with you back then, you refused to render me any help despite my strong reluctance to marry Bao Junyan. Now that I have nothing left, however, you're colluding with them to get me to push Bao Junyan into Mu Kursin's hands. Before her marriage, all she wanted was to move into another city, far away from the Mews, to seek treatment for her granny after saving up enough money for her medical expenses. Knowing the difficult position her father was in, she dared not borrow too much from him, just a mere 50 grand. However, he refused to lend it to her. His lack of speaking rights in the family aside, 50,000 was only 2 days' worth of allowance for him. Have you ever considered my position and interest at all? Just what do you all treat me as? Am I a doll for you all to manipulate? What's more, Bao Junyan is Mu Kursin's brother.in.law. Just because she shamelessly wants to marry him, you all are now forcing me to divorce him, drug him, and let her bed him. Have you no sense of shame or self-respect? Mu Dongsheng, despite finding it immoral, was helpless about it, though. Hence, he could only summon his courage to say, Xiao Huan, it's not that I didn't want to help you back then. I couldn't do so at all. You know how it is like in the family, I need to ask for money from your grandma. That bit of money isn't enough for me to spend, let alone help you. Exasperation shot through her as she looked at him and scoffed at herself for actually hoping that her father would somehow think about her interest. Even when she was just a child, he, for fear that his mother would not give him an allowance, turned a blind eye to her abuse and only asked that his wife not do that in front of him. She should not have harbored any hopes about him since then. If you don't agree to do so, your grandma will find other ways to it. By then, you'll get nothing at all. Just obediently listen to her like I do, alright. You know how she's like. She surely won't take no for an answer. If you provoke her, the one who will be suffering is your granny. Even without his reminder, Mu Huan was well aware of it. Still, she would not submit to her just like that. She was not a doll that they could manipulate at their disposal. Xiao Huan, you'll be forced to do so anyway. Bai Shuexian will surely threaten you with your granny's life. However, by agreeing to it, not only will you get money, but your granny's safety will also be guaranteed. Her surgery was very successful. So, as long as she wakes up, she'll eventually recover. Think about it, could you bear to and feel assured leaving her in Bai Shuexian's hands? Honestly speaking, you don't have a choice here. What your grandma is giving you is your only way out. At the mention of her grandma, Mu Huan thought that she was truly a scheming and manipulative person. She had never once abused her, but she would ignore the abuse she received from her stepmother. Even now, knowing that her daughter-in-law would surely teach her a lesson, not only did she not put a stop to it beforehand, but rather, she even deliberately allowed the former to do so. It was all for the sake of instilling fear in her and letting her know that she could only do as she said. With drooping eyes, she clenched her hands tightly and ruminated for a long time. I'll give Grandma an answer tomorrow at this time. Can't you answer it now? The man was afraid to hear his mother scolding him useless, so he wanted an answer from her right now. Her gaze turned slightly icy as she looked up. He swiftly took on a pitiful tone. Xiao Huan, can you bear to let me get scolded by your grandma? Mu Huan. No wonder people said that one must never marry a mommy's boy. It was true, indeed. It was especially so in the case of her father, who dared not disobey his mother's words at all cost and was still at her mercy despite his age. Chapter 38. The Poor Wretch of the Mu Family. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. In the most prosperous belt of the Yun city center stood a tall skyscraper, which was the headquarters of the Bao Group. Boss, I heard that you skipped work yesterday to accompany sister-in-law to go shopping and that you even brought home almost the entire shopping mall, said Gong Zai excitedly. Bao Junyan swept him an aloof side glance. It looks like you like her a lot. The former blinked his eyes flirtatiously at him and then, as if a huge weight had been lifted off of his chest, added, we were all very worried that you'd never like someone else and get into a relationship ever again. I didn't expect our sister-in-law to be such a charming person. Your taste in women, however, seemed very different from before. You used to like women who are glamorous, proud, confident, and competitive, but now, you prefer the obedient and cutie type. Speaking of which, we received quite a shock when you picked the poor wretch of the Mu family. Her status was the lowest among all those socialites there. The poor wretch of the Mu family. He lifted his head at that. Yup. You were living in the imperial capital previously, so you don't know about the family matter of that poor wretch, no, sister-in-law. At the age of 10, after she got a stepmother, her glorious status of being the young missy and the only heir of the Mu family was stripped and she became a Cinderella. That stepmother is truly wicked, indeed. Not only did she not treat sister-in-law well, but she was even kicked out of the house penniless later on. His forehead creased. Where's her father and grandma? Her father is a notorious coward, in modern days words, a mommy's boy who listens to everything his mother says. The matriarch prefers male descendants, and his newly wedded wife gave birth to a son. It's all good now, though. Now that she's married to you, her family is surely fawning over her and regretful of their past actions. After Gong Zai left, he thought about how his wife allowed her sister to move in with them despite her reluctance. This probably meant that she was currently still under the mercy of her family. At the thought of how he got someone to send Mu Kurson back home last night, he picked up his phone to give Mu Huan a call. The woman had just left the hospital when she saw his incoming call. It was only after taking several deep breaths and buying herself an ice cream from a nearby store that she answered her phone. "Where are you at? Why did you take so long to answer the call?" the man questioned with a frown. She licked a mouthful of the ice cream. "I didn't hear the phone ringing. I was buying ice cream just moments ago." He heard her licking the ice cream from the other end. "Why are you looking for me, hubby? Did your family make things difficult for you after I got someone to send your sister home? They're feeling a little disgruntled, but it's not like they can do anything about it. You're the one who had her sent home, after all." "Thank you, hubby." From her voice, it did not sound like she had been bullied by her family in any way. Instead, she seemed to be very proud and high-spirited. "I'll be back home late tonight, so you can just go to bed early." Needing time to think about her upcoming course of action tonight, she, therefore, asked, "My best friend had a break up and is crying buckets. Can I go to her place tonight to comfort her?" The man instinctively disliked having her stay out overnight. "She's my best friend. I need to be by her side at moments like this. Please. Pretty please." He found himself unable to say no to her coy pleading. "All right. Thank you, hubby." Her initially energetic voice, at the end of the call, immediately deflated and became filled with lethargy. Even though she had her favorite albeit melted ice cream in hand, she had no desire to eat it. Equals 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 equals. Dear readers, as everyone is aware, we're currently releasing 2 translated novels per week. Due to our translation budget, we can only publish approximately 104 translated novels per year. However, in our bank of over 1 million Chinese novels, there are a large number of hidden gems of translated novels that haven't been selected. As a result, we plan to release the trial read system to publish more Chinese translated novels for everyone without limited budget. Here are the specifics. Web Novel will be launching this new system where 60 chapters of a novel will be translated, like a teaser, of which chapters 139 will be free to read whilst the rest up to chapter 60 will be paid. We will review the date of these novels within a 1-month cycle, and hopefully shorter in the future, and with the results we will decide whether the novel will continue to be translated or continue being observed for further results. As for selected novels, we will do our best to reinstate their translations within a month. All locked chapters won't be affected by this. If there is no way we can continue translating a novel, all coins and fast pass spent in unlocking the chapters for this novel shall be returned to the reader within a month whilst the chapters for that book remains unlocked. Regrettably, although the trial read system can help us provide even more novels for everyone, it will inevitably mean that even more novels will be discontinued. If everyone wishes for their favorite translated novels to continue, please subscribe to Chapters and support the novels that you love. If you have a better suggestion and/or advice regarding our trial read system or anything else regarding our current methods, please do share. We welcome all your valued suggestions. We will strive to continue optimizing and developing the trial read translations for your pleasure. Many thanks. Web novel equals 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 equals. The selected book will have a mark on the corner of the book cover before 23.59 on February 15th. Coins and Fast Pass for unlocking books that haven't been selected in this issue will be returned to your account by February 15th, 23.59 GMT+8. Chapter 39. There is something going on. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios at the barbecue store. What the F*** CK. That Bai Shuexian ought to go to hell when she dies. Li Meng expressed her indignation after hearing Mu Huan's story. Well, she ought to go to hell right now. The moment Mu Huan thought of how Bai Shuexian had arranged for someone to remove her granny's oxygen tube, her eyes flared red with fury. As her granny's health deteriorated in the last few years, she'd been too busy trying to make enough money to support the three of them to recall the past. As a result, she'd almost forgotten what a vicious woman she was. She thought that as long as she remained useful to her grandma after getting married to Bao Junyan, her grandma would continue to give the best treatment to her granny and that she could use this chance to fortify her position. However, with Bai Shuexian now in the picture, her granny would be in danger at any time. She had no time to tarry. That's right, she ought to go to hell now. Li Meng nodded in agreement. But, Xiao Huan, what can we do right now? No matter what, I think it's best to agree to your grandma's terms. If not, your granny would be in grave danger if she fell into the hands of Bai Shuexian. At least by agreeing to her grandma's condition, Mu Huan could still receive some money. If not, Bai Shuexian would take her granny's life and still force the granddaughter to abide by her terms. What does my grandma have on hand that makes her so certain that Bao Junyan would not only not get mad after being tricked, but also even marry Mu Kurson willingly? This isn't important. What's important now is the choice that you are going to make. No, this is very important. She shook her head in disagreement. Knowing what cards her grandma had in hand would determine how she could retaliate. What's the importance? Your choice is the most important thing right now. Your grandma is giving you only a day to consider, right? I'm not going to choose from the options they give me. I'll fight back. Not only would she stop being blackmailed, but she would also fight back and repay their ruthlessness. Just when her buddy was about to ask her how she intended to retaliate, she stood up abruptly and said, I'm going back to the Bao family tonight instead of to your place. Why? Before her good friend could finish her words, she took off in a hurry. At the Bao household. Master, you're back. The man looked rather unhappily at Butler Li as the latter approached him. For a brief moment, the butler felt despised. Madam has called earlier. She will be staying over at her friend's place tonight, he replied with indifference and proceeded upstairs to his room. Without his dear wife to hug, he headed for the study room instead of the bedroom. He was preoccupied with his work when he heard knockings on the door, and then a furry head popped through the gap between the door frame. Hubby, am I disturbing you? Don't you think it's too late to ask now? He asked with a raised brow. She had already interrupted his work. She smiled and brought in a tray of coffee for him. Didn't you say that you wanted to stay over at your friend's place tonight? My friend is fine now, that's why I'm back. She served him the coffee with her head bowed. Oh. After spouting an acknowledgement nonchalantly, he turned his attention back to his work again. With his head buried in the pile of work, he did not seem interested to continue their casual conversation. Hubby, there's something I don't understand, that's why I'm here to ask you about it. She had a purpose for interrupting him, so even if he was not keen to talk, she had to push ahead with her agenda. Still. What is it, he asked as he looked up. You know, am I correct to say that every parent will want their children to marry well? You can tell me directly what you have in mind. I find this issue strange. For someone with your status, surely, your parents must have wanted you to marry a girl from a well-to-do family, so why did they allow you to marry someone like me with a lowly status? From what she could see, the only way to make this man marry her sister was to have his parents exert pressure on him. If so, did this mean that her grandma had some form of special relationship with his parents? Was this the reason she was selected as well? I'm the decision-maker when it comes to my personal affairs. Mu Huan. She gave an awkward smile after some time. I thought the reason for our smooth marriage was because my grandma had a special relationship with your parents. Just when she thought she could not dig any more information from him, he told her. My parents had nothing to do with you getting married into our family. However, my dad did have some interaction with your grandma. Equals 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 equals. Dear readers, as everyone is aware, we're currently releasing 2 translated novels per week. Due to our translation budget, we can only publish approximately 104 translated novels per year. However, in our bank of over 1 million Chinese novels, there are a large number of hidden gems of translated novels that haven't been selected. As a result, we plan to release the trial read system to publish more Chinese translated novels for everyone without limited budget. Here are the specifics. Web Novel will be launching this new system where 60 chapters of a novel will be translated, like a teaser, of which chapters 139 will be free to read whilst the rest up to chapter 60 will be paid. We will review the date of these novels within a 1-month cycle, and hopefully shorter in the future, and with the results we will decide whether the novel will continue to be translated or continue being observed for further results. As for selected novels, we will do our best to reinstate their translations within a month. All locked chapters won't be affected by this. If there is no way we can continue translating a novel, all coins and fast pass spent in unlocking the chapters for this novel shall be returned to the reader within a month whilst the chapters for that book remains unlocked. Regrettably, although the trial read system can help us provide even more novels for everyone, it will inevitably mean that even more novels will be discontinued. If everyone wishes for their favorite translated novels to continue, please subscribe to Chapters and support the novels that you love. If you have a better suggestion and/or advice regarding our trial read system or anything else regarding our current methods, please do share. We welcome all your valued suggestions. We will strive to continue optimizing and developing the trial read translations for your pleasure. Many thanks. Web novel equals 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 equals. The selected book will have a mark on the corner of the book cover before 23.59 on February 15th. Coins and Fast Pass for unlocking books that haven't been selected in this issue will be returned to your account by February 15th, 23.59 GMT+8. Chapter 40. Would you still want me when I'm no longer a dutiful wife? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios hearing this surprised her. Was the reason for her grandma's confidence in her demands because of her special relationship with Bao Junyan's dad? But immediately, she quipped, but this shouldn't be the case. If my grandma was really on good terms with your father, then she would have used this opportunity to let her own granddaughter be selected instead of forcing me to attend the ceremony. Which was the cause of all these troubles now? So you were forced to attend my matchmaking ceremony. Was this the reason for her good behavior that night, where she sat quietly in a corner, displaying no effort to fight for his affection? That was to say that she was not a quiet and respectful girl by nature, and she was merely behaving in that manner because she was reluctant to come in the first place. Was that the case? She looked down. What the f***ck? She had voiced out the suspicion in her mind unconsciously. He pulled her to sit on his lap, then his slender finger tipped her chin up so she could look him in the eyes. Are you so afraid of me because you didn't wish to marry me? Mu Huan. How was she going to answer him? He did not press her for an answer. Realizing that she might have been forced to attend his bride-picking ceremony, he asked, do you want to get back at them for what they did to you? She deliberated for a while and decided that he should not get involved. I'd like to settle my problems with my family by myself. His eyes turned darker and more pensive when he heard that. All right, but you must remember this. As long as I'm around, you don't have to be afraid of anyone. She was touched by his words. Thank you, hubby. He was one with a lofty status, yet he was willing to respect her and even to be her support. She knew there was nothing she could do to repay his kindness except to safeguard his chastity. She would not allow Mu Kurson to desecrate him in any way. Hence, they returned to the initial topic once more. Hubby, what do you think of your father's relationship with my grandma? Can this relationship force you to marry Mu Kurson? Why do you ask this all of a sudden? Did your grandma say something to you? It's not my grandma but Mu Kurson. She was so self-assured when she said that, which got me worried. She looked down as she spoke. There's no need to worry. This is not possible. No one could force him to marry anyone he did not want to. Then, what kind of relationship does your father have with my grandma? What kind of a strange relationship was this? I did question my father once, but he didn't give me an answer. When he registered his marriage with Mu Huan, his father had told him that since the girl was from the Mu family, he would accept the arrangement. He then asked his dad if he had some dealings with the Mu family, to which his father replied that he knew matriarch Mu. However, when he decided to probe further, just so he'd know how to treat his wife's family in the future, his father kept mum and only reminded him to treat his wife well. Mu Huan. The only clue had gone cold now. He reached out to caress her head. You don't have to worry about this. As long as you remain a dutiful wife, you'll keep your status as Mrs. Bao. His only requirement for her was to be obedient and dutiful. Then, would you still want me when I'm no longer a dutiful wife? If this was the case, then she had to be prepared to create havoc when it was time for her to leave him. I'll teach you how to be dutiful. His life had been nicely planned out, and one of the rules was to have an obedient wife. This rule must not be overturned. Mu Huan. Does that mean that creating a din may not work? What if I have an affair outside? Since they were already on this topic, she might as well ask a few more questions for future planning. Do you want to die? How about smoking? Do you want to die?